Hey guys, it's Lee in a fishbowl. How are y'all today? It's nice and quiet afternoon. So I thought I'd take a minute to do an update vlog. I'm sorry it's kind of dark out here today. You can hear the birds. I'm on my porch. I haven't done that video yet. I'm sorry. It's almost finished. I still have a few lights to put up and things on the walls. It's been a long process anyway. So that's not what this vlog's about. But it's kind of overcast out here, so I hope you can see my face. It's like, I hate that, but it was a nice peaceful place for me to come do my vlog, so I came out here. So today is Monday, let's see, Monday, October 28th. I don't even know the date. A lot's going on. The last update was pretty much my surgery, my results of the genetics test, and everything like that. My hair's driving me nuts. I'm fixing to get a haircut. Okay, that's not what this vlog's about though. Anyway, that's another vlog. So I'm pretty much caught y'all up till the surgery was over and what we had gotten results from, and I can't remember. I tried to go back and watch my vlog and I couldn't. I didn't want to watch the whole thing. Isn't that terrible? I only had a few minutes, so I can remember. That's my dog. He's drinking water. If you can hear that, he's wandering around. He'll probably poke his head in a few minutes. But here he comes. Hey, Pouncer. And you may hear the door to the porch open and close as he goes out to the bathroom. Anyway, so I need to update you with what's gone on since the surgery. And I hope I don't repeat myself. That's what I was saying as I kind of looked back at my video, the last few minutes of it, and I don't think I'm going to be repeating myself. But if I am, I apologize in advance. So let's go to after the surgery. I had a 2-week post-op visit with my reproductive endocrinologist and who did the surgery. And hey, Betty. He sat my husband and I down and gave us this whole spiel about how the door is closing on our fertility journey, and that though he really had not ever thought we would be in need of IVF, that he is now recommending it. As a matter of fact, like the first consult I had with him almost 3 years ago, well, it's been 3 years, he looked me in the eyes and said, "You will never need IVF." So, famous last words. But he just kind of said that with my stage 2 endometriosis and the chromosomal issue I had this time, and with one of my tubes was a little swollen, although my HSG showed up fine in April. And just the fact that we've had 6 miscarriages or losses in 4 years, that really the next natural step should be IVF. Then he suggested that we go to counseling, and I took that as a huge, I don't know, it just really bothered me. Not a huge slap in the face, but it irked me. And at that point I was already kind of shutting him out because I kind of knew that for me, there's some testing that needs to be done, and I keep saying this in my videos, and I haven't elaborated on it. I need to do that. I guess the hesitancy in doing a video on that is because I'm in no way really well versed in what I'm trying to get testing on. I'm learning as I'm going. I'm reading a lot, asking lots of questions on some message boards, and trying to find my way through it. But I feel like I have an underlying issue with implantation because I've had 4 chemicals, right? Yeah, no, 3 chemicals. And the ectopic I don't know about. I feel like there might be some reason that my body is like rejecting these embryos. I don't know. But my bottom line is I don't want to go and spend thousands of dollars on in vitro fertilization if I can't have the testing and at least rule out that there might be something else going on that could be causing implantation failure, because you can put in a perfect embryo But if you have elevated natural killer cells or other issues, then your body could very well just reject it. And there are treatments for that. It's a very new area of research. There's only a few reproductive immunologists around, and only a few clinics that really are headway, really hardcore practicing and treating these issues. So my doctor, my reproductive endocrinologist, is not going to touch it. He's not going to test on it. So that kind of leaves me with having to close the door on him. But let me back up. He suggested we do counseling, and I was kind of really irked by that, because I thought, okay, excuse me, and I don't mean this against anybody who may or may not have needed to deal with their stresses in different ways, but for me personally, I've had 6 miscarriages, 6 losses, and I've never once had to pick up a cigarette, do drugs, pop a Prozac, pick up a bottle of beer or wine, and drown my sorrows out. I've been what I would say would be a very I bounced back pretty well, and I feel like my husband and I are closer and stronger in our marriage because of what's going on, not negatively impacted. And he kind of made reference to the fact that we need to have counseling. And it was almost like that whole, if you just relax, you might get pregnant thing. And if anybody should know that, he should know that that's just not appropriate. And I get that he was just, I don't know, trying to be nice, but he meant well. But whatever. I just didn't want to have anything to do with that. I don't need counseling. My husband and I are in a great place. And, I'm at peace with what happens when I have these losses. It's hard when I'm going through them. And, of course, I'm going to grieve and cry and do all those things. But I'm strong and I'm okay. And I got this. So, long story short, he drug us over to the IVF counselor's office and made us sit down and, what's that noise? My husband may help? Anyway, my husband comes out and won't know what he's going. But they made us go through all the price list of IVF and everything. Of course, our insurance doesn't cover any of it. His cheapest cycle, because I'm 39, going on 40 in July, they don't do the refund cycles or anything like that. You have to go cycle to cycle. The one cycle without meds was $13,000. And you could do 2, I think, and it may have included some frozen transfers. I don't know. It was like $20,000. Way out of our budget for right now. I think I've mentioned before, we have a house in a nearby city that we lived in before we moved here, that we rented for several years. Well, for 2.5 years, not several. A couple of years. And we are in the process of selling it. It's just got put up with a realtor about 3 weeks ago. So until that house sells, we really have our money tied up and can't do anything else. And that's just the way it is. We had to move here in order for my husband to be where he is in this ministry, and so that's just the way it went. So until the house sells, we really can't do any financial big things like that anyway. Once the house sells, we will be freed up to do some IVF. So, there again, the doctor's telling me the door's closing and I'm going to be 40 and my egg quality is, crap, and I know that. And it's like there's this rub between when we'll have the finances and will I even have any decent eggs left by then, or will I be going into early menopause, or what? So who knows? So we left that appointment, and I kind of expected it. I knew it was coming. And I had a backup plan. My backup plan was to meet with a new reproductive endocrinologist. I have a list, starting with one that was local, and then moving out of town to, or actually out of state. One in New Orleans, Louisiana, and one in maybe Atlanta. New Orleans is more feasible because it's just about 3 hours away. Atlanta's like 6 hours for us, so we'll see. But so that brings us to last Thursday. We went and met with this new doctor. His office is not very far from my other doctor's office, and it was funny because I had to have my last beta drawn last Wednesday, and it was down to where it needed to be for me to be not pregnant anymore. And I told the nurse when I talked to her, this was with the RA I've been with for 3 years, and she said, you know, the doctor has on here, we need to schedule you for counseling, and what do you want to do with this IVF situation? And I just kind of gave her the whole rundown of, you know, until he's willing to do testing for immune issues, I really can't go any further with y'all. And she was totally nice and understanding, and so we got off the phone, and I had already made contact and filled out all the paperwork with the other doctor, and I emailed the other doctor's nurse and said, you can now transfer my records. So that was on Thursday that I got my beta results, and so that was Thursday. I talked to the nurse. So Friday morning I emailed the new doctor's nurse and said, go ahead and get my records. And Saturday morning when I was in the shower, I got a call from the RE that I've been dealing with for 3 years, and he left a message. I was in the shower, thank goodness, and he was really nice, but he basically said, you know, I think it's great that you're getting a second opinion. Well, this is actually my third. I've already been to 2 REs. First one was a total quack, but this is my second real RE, and he said, I think it's great that you're going there, and if they do anything or any testing and you need advice on it, please don't hesitate to come back and talk to me. And then he was going on about going to the SART website and looking at what's the word? It's just basically the statistics on each of the fertility clinics' IVF success, and basically I think he was kind of jabbing at the other clinics, saying that maybe their success rate wasn't as great. Well, I did go and look, and there is a little bit of difference. The one I'm going to now has a little bit less of a success rate, and I'm going to have to do some research on that. But so that was Saturday. That brings us to last Thursday. I know this is confusing, I'm sorry. And we met with this new doctor. So his nurse was super nice. I was at a satellite. He's actually based out of Pensacola, Florida, and I went to the one in Alabama up the road from our home. And so we went in, and the nurse was super nice. There was nobody else there. It was like totally different. Like when we go in our old reproductive center is constantly in and out people. It's just tons of women in there. It's a very high profile, very business-like atmosphere. This was much more laid back. The lady who does the paperwork is also the nurse, because it's a satellite office, and she's super. And what was really cool was after she did all my my blood pressure and everything, and they finally called us back to meet with the doctor, she actually came in and sat down with us and was in the whole consult and was typing on her Mac, and he had his Mac out and his little screen. I'm sorry, my legs are like falling asleep. I know I keep moving. So we met with this doctor, and what sucks is my old clinic had not sent the paperwork. The only paperwork they had was from the hospital affiliated with my old clinic. And she said that that is typical, that people like to drag their feet because it's not, it's not of importance to them whether another clinic gets these records in a fast way or not. So that pretty much slurped, because I had to go through my whole history with him, and I was really kind of irritated because I had spent the night before, and I know I should have done it earlier. That was my fault. I had typed up a long list of my history. Well, I say a long list. It was a nutshell. It was probably 15 little stars with what had happened in my last 4 years. And if he had, and then I wrote down all the testing I wanted and a few extra questions I had. I emailed it to the nurse of this new doctor, but I didn't email it to that morning, like at 1 in the morning before my appointment that next afternoon. And she didn't get the email in time, so they didn't see it, and that's my fault. I should have sent it earlier. It was just kind of one of those, I just did it last minute. I thought, well, this might be nice, and now I know it would have been great, but I should have done it earlier. But so I had a copy with me. I brought it, but he was not really able to look at it during our meeting. He did kind of look through the test I was requesting. So I had to go through my history with him, and once he heard me say that I'd had a trisomy 16 pregnancy, this past pregnancy, and that my first loss was most likely some kind of chromosomal something, because of, even though they didn't do a karyotype on it, they did observe it at like an autopsy, and that it showed like some webbing of the neck and things like that. And although we don't know that for sure, because like I said in my past videos, that embryo, that fetus, had passed away at 12 weeks, and I did not have it. I did not deliver it till 15 weeks. So we don't know if that stuff is from distorting because it was withering, or if it was chromosomal. We don't know, but he seems to think it was. And so when he heard my first and my last one were both chromosomal, he said, in his mind, he was like, most likely all of your losses are chromosomal. And I'm like, excuse me? You know, I just never really thought that all of them would be that way. But he said most likely they were. And he went through some research and showed us on his computer about how most women have at least one chromosomal loss in their life, and most women don't even know it. They just get their period a few days later, blah, blah, blah. Most of these chromosomal losses are very, very early losses, like chemicals. So that's why he said that he felt like my chemicals and everything were all related to chromosomal issues. And he asked if we'd had any kind of chromosomal test, and no, we hadn't, because when the other doctor had recommended them, it was going to cost us several $100s. He said that my insurance should cover it. So we signed up for that test. He was going to do a whole new repeat panel loss on us, which is a huge list of things, and once I get those results, I'll kind of go through that with y'all. And when he looked at my immune system test that I requested, some of those tests are touched on in the repeat panel. So some of them, you know, like he said, we'll do the screenings, and if we see more, we'll go from there. He did allow this one test that I really wanted done, and that was a natural killer. It's NK cells, and it's an assay. It's a panel of tests for natural killer cells. Natural killer cells are those cells that are in your body that are designed to get rid of bad things. And what happens is if you have too many natural killer cells, they can attack a pregnancy. So if I have a high number of those, then that indicates that something could be off. I could have inflammation. It could be from my endometriosis or whatever. So I'm glad he's doing that test. He was nice. I mean, I would have loved to have gone in there and said, I want these tests, and he would have been like, heck yeah, we'll do them all. And he didn't, and so that disappointed me a little, but he at least was willing to test for a few things that my last doctor wasn't. So then he said his recommendation, just based on what he had seen so far, and that he didn't have my records, and that he was going to go through all that, and it may change then, but most likely it wouldn't. But he definitely recommended IVF as well. Never thought I would be the kind of person to do. Is that? It must be a neighbor's dog. I never thought I would be doing IVF. Never. We have an amazingly perfect son. I never thought that our issue would be chromosomes. And we don't know that yet, but we will know that soon. So it's just, gosh, it's like, really? If I had known IVF was going to be the path we were going to take 4 years ago, I mean, we could have saved all this time, and I would have had all my medication coverage still, and we could have used it for an IVF, but now we've wasted. I have no more medication coverage because I did 6 IUIs and used up they give you a $2,500 limit. Once it's gone, it's gone. But here's the difference. He did recommend IVF, but he also recommended, which the other doctor never even touched on, with PGD, pre-implantation genetic diagnosis. Hang on a minute. I gotta look that up. But basically, I'm gonna look this up so I'm not being rude. I'm looking and talking at the same time. But PGD, this is all new to me. That's a dog next door. Sorry. Yeah, pre-implantation genetic diagnosis. Basically, what they would do is any embryos that that my husband and I make through IVF, they would go to a 5-day cell, according to him. I guess that's a 5-day blast. I don't know. This is all new lingo. Correct me if I'm wrong. And once it gets to that 5-day stage and starts multiplying cells, they would pull 1 cell out of each of the embryos that I have and biopsy them, basically, and send them all for testing and freeze my embryos. Then they would test it, and it would show if it has a chromosomal abnormality or not. And if it doesn't, then those are the ones we would implant. And he said he would implant 2 or 3 on me. That most likely, I would need to have more than 2 or 3 if I'm lucky with my situation. So the bad news is he thinks we need more than just IVF. We need PGD. The good news is his IVF cost, instead of $13,000 for 1 cycle, his cost was $7,000 without meds. Almost half. But the bad news was he said that the PGD definitely needed to be done, and that PGD would cost us around $5,000. So that puts us at $12,000. Still $1,000 less than the prior doctor. But and that doesn't include medications. And because of my egg reserve issue, and just depending on how I would react to this, I may need a lot more meds than most women. So, 1 cycle we're looking at probably $14,000 to $15,000. So that's kind of where he's thinking we need to go. But first we're going to do all these tests, and then we're going to look at the NK cells and things like that, and go from there. Yeah, $15,000 is a lot of money, and it really sucks. And what I guess probably scares me more than anything is that what if we do this? What if we do it? We take the chance and we do it, and we don't wind up pregnant, and we have a $15,000 loan or bill, or however we decide to do it, that we have to pay for, and we have nothing to show for it. And $15,000 could pay for a whole lot of college, or a new car for our son, or a portion of it, depending on what he wants. One day, I mean, we're talking about 7 years till my son needs a vehicle. I mean, that's nothing. So it's a lot to weigh in, and it's a lot to think about, a lot to pray about. I don't know. So that's kind of where we are, and we're going to wait and see how the testing goes and see. So I can't start the blood work until, and they're going to do it on my husband and I at the same time, until I get the red plague. When Aunt Flo shows, then I can start this. And and I'm not 100% convinced that I'll even go with this guy for IVF. If things show up and he don't want to treat them, then we may wind up going to the guy in New Orleans for IVF. We'll just have to see. It just sucks that I have such short time to do this and make these decisions. I feel like I'm under a lot of pressure because the big 4-0 is looming over me in July, and I just kind of feel like I just don't know. Like, we've got to make these decisions, and we got to make them quick. I don't know. So yeah, and Aunt Flo has not showed. That's what I was saying. My DNC was 32 days ago. I'm on like cycle day 30 something. They count the first day of the DNC is cycle day 1, technically, is what they say. And I've been spotting on and off for a few days. And like I told the doctor last Thursday, I was like, I just know I will start before this weekend's over. And well, I haven't. It's now Monday, and I'm spotting more, but I still haven't started. So I feel like it'll come in the next few days. So we'll see. I know this is a long update. I know it's like 24 minutes right now, and I apologize for that, but I had to get it all in, and that's kind of where we are. So I'll keep you posted when I get the blood work done, and I'll see if I can do some vlogs or something in between. But anyway, wish me luck. Say some prayers for us to help us, guide us, and direct us in what God's will is for our family. If we're going to have this other child or not, we just don't know. So say a prayer, and I hope everybody's doing great, and we will talk to you later. See y'all later. Bye. Bye.